Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Fund managers, institutional investors will be buying XRP when the market cap is at 1 trillion. What got me wanting to speak along these lines is an article titled "Why Fund Managers Will Buy Bitcoin at $1 Trillion." And there are plenty of reasons, which I'm going to get into. But this is an XRP-centric channel, so I'm coming at this from the position of an XRP community member and an XRP holder myself who continues to purchase. Because I think it's such early days here, and I think it'd be weird if ultimately we didn't have some cryptocurrencies that had $1 trillion market caps anyway. And so I want to kind of paint a picture for where I think this is ultimately going and go through some of the specifics in this article and how this applies to XRP, because I think it absolutely does. And then we've got an article about how billionaires are currently behaving. There's one in particular who is buying Bitcoin at today's prices despite volatility. And also, there's other great news I want to cover with you. It's having to do with XRP liquidity. There's an article from You Today. I know these headlines just keep coming because, well, real-world adoption of XRP keeps occurring despite the volatility of price right now, because people don't know what the hell they're doing as it pertains to the buying and selling of XRP. But the title of this one is XRP Liquidity Index Surges Past 9 million, leaving previous all-time high behind, which is awesome, because just, when was it? Was it 2 days ago? 3 days ago? I reported on a story about the previous all-time high, which was millions less, but we're that much higher already. And so it seems to me that a lot of people are kind of ramping this up. Business entities that are utilizing on-demand liquidity seem to be ramping things up over time. Just wait till more corridors are online, though. But before I speak any further, if you would please delicately tap that like button. And if you are a fan of Ripple and XRP, and perhaps even the concept of cryptocurrencies, XRP, perhaps one day having a market cap of $1 trillion, go ahead and subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel. Of course, to be clear now, none of that's financial advice. I was just saying, it would be nice to see that. But again, I really do believe those cryptocurrencies that have staying power, the ones at the top, it'd be weird to me if this is like the only asset class that just wasn't able to achieve that. So I'm just saying, it's really early days and people don't know what the hell they're doing now. So let's jump into this piece. Large funds are constrained by rules about profitability and portfolio balancing. Hence, they may be forced to shed assets like Bitcoin that have the potential to return magnanimous gains. Now, so far, stock selection rules and the fact that fund managers need to show profitability in their reports means big funds have missed on some of the biggest gainers, commented Jason Zweig at The Wall Street Journal. And if they had to invest in Bitcoin and crypto assets, they may arrive late into the game once Bitcoin has peaked. They may end up buying Bitcoin at $1 trillion when Bitcoin is already established, suggested Twitter-based crypto commentator Ceteris Paribus. And, well, a lot of people are going to, just like, gold's established, right? Gold has a market cap of, forgive me if I'm wrong, but is it not somewhere in the neighborhood of $8 trillion? People still buy gold, correct? Now, it's not as exciting as crypto, but that's the whole thing. I think that's why there's a level of excitement and exuberance around crypto, when we're not panicking about prices dropping, right? There's all sorts of excitement around this space because we feel like we really found something that the average person, even if aware of it, and most aren't aware of it, certainly have not purchased. And those that have purchased a cryptocurrency, it's an even smaller percentage that are aware of XRP or have purchased XRP, which is, actually being used today, as opposed to Bitcoin, which is used for buying and selling itself on exchanges like that. That's it. Anyway, so here's a tweet from Ceteris Paribus, who wrote this: professional fund managers literally can't hodl. Potentially, and then there's two little bullet points here. Number one, potentially career-ending to keep painful short-term positions. Number two, small managers have to sell if positions get too large, e.g. Amazon. Then he writes, they'll buy Bitcoin once it passes a couple trillion, with a T. Now, the rules on stock selection have also led to paradoxes, as in the case of small company funds having to abandon Amazon once its share price roared. Amazon roared from a valuation of $300 million to above $13 billion in years. And for the sake of balance and not depending on a single stock, funds had to sell. On the other hand, in-person stock picking and holding have led to some of the biggest success stories. But those investors had to wait out periods of crushing stock slides, not unlike Bitcoin investors, to get a highly rewarding price at the end. And that's why I tend to think, ultimately, as it pertains to XRP, as it continues to be adopted, people will continue to know this institutional money will continue to come in. Of course, there's regulatory clarity that I always talk about, which needs to occur first. There needs to be appropriate custody solutions. But, not literally everything on the planet, but so many things on the planet, assets, will be tokenized over time. You can see that we're in the beginning stages of that happening with real estate, for example, but ultimately I can't imagine that it wouldn't happen to stocks. And conceptually, what's kind of interesting to me about that is that you're going to start to see a blurring of the lines between asset classes, because in a truly liquid world, or at least a world that's substantially more liquid than it is today, just think about buying and selling with minimal fees and no paperwork, because that's part of the promise of what distributed ledger technology can offer. Just think about how easy it is to get in and out of any asset that you want to when everything's tokenized to that degree, and there won't be time constraints. It can be done on the weekends, including Sundays and all that good stuff outside of regular business hours. It's that type of progress is going to ultimately change everything. And that's why I say there's going to be somewhat of a blurring of the lines. Not that necessarily a stock would be perceived as a cryptocurrency, but it's going to look a little bit different when blockchain gets to all of these particular assets. That's really the point that I was trying to drive home there. But all good things in time. But I tell you, and again, not financial advice, but if you believe that utility matters, what do you think ultimately the world of crypto, and specifically XRP, the XRP ecosystem, what's it going to look like in another 5 or 10 years when people value cryptocurrencies on their actual merit, on their actual value, and they stop buying and selling, FOMOing in and panic selling just based on the price action of Bitcoin? What's that going to look like? Because you're talking about XRP solving quite literally a $quadrillion problem. I've heard it word that way. Actually, the more recent number, over the span of a year, by the way, but then more recently, how much money have we, the numbers keep, I've seen different numbers from different sources, but the most recently touted from Brad Garlinghouse, I think, is $10 trillion in Nostra Vostro, and the pre-funding of accounts, that's going to go the way of the dodo almost entirely, as corridors are built out, but that all takes time, of course. So I found that fascinating. Now, I got a tweet from, I got tagged in a tweet from Dean, so shout out to you, good sir, and it was in response to Bill Pulte, who was a billionaire. And he wrote this: "Cryptocurrency can help the world's poorest, especially those who are unbanked. As a philanthropist, I therefore want to promote adoption. Leave a comment why you need Bitcoin, and I'll pick one person to send some Satoshis to. Yes, this is real." And it is a verified account, so presumably it is real. Not like I'm endorsing anything. I'm just saying he's got 1.7 million followers, and it's a verified account, so presumably that's real. And I started thinking, what do I need Bitcoin for? And for a split second, I thought, oh yeah, so that I can turn my Bitcoin into XRP. But I don't need to do that anymore, because now things are developing further. I use Uphold, that's my exchange of choice, and I turn my fiat directly into XRP. But in 2017, you didn't need to use a cryptocurrency to get into those other altcoins. So pretty much everybody was starting on Coinbase, and they'd buy Bitcoin or Ethereum or Litecoin, and then convert that into XRP or whatever other cryptos you wanted to get into. And so I thought, well, that's something that I don't need that anymore. So it's one of those, I guess the answer for me is I don't need it. So I don't think that old Bill here is going to be sending me any sats, but that's okay. But anyway, shout out to you, Dean, again for tagging me in that. And then there's an article about him. I'm going to be real brief on this part, though. Billionaires buying Bitcoin. Bill Pulte announces 11 Bitcoin purchase. The number of billionaires holding Bitcoin continues to grow. The latest magnate to go public with his Bitcoin purchase is the philanthropist Bill Pulte, who now wants to promote the benchmark crypto's adoption. Bill Pulte is the head of Pulte Capital Partners, one of the directors at Pulte Homes, and the inventor of Twitter philanthropy. He is also the grandson of the billionaire founder of the home construction giant Pulte Group, PHM, which boasts a market cap of $10.9 billion. So that's absolutely massive. Now, like many other billionaires, Pulte is joining the crypto community. In effect, on December 12th, 2019, he announced that he had bought 11 Bitcoin. You can see the tweet right there on the screen. I recently bought 11 Bitcoins, and that's all that he tweeted right there. And then he writes, through social media, Twitter in particular, Pulte promotes the welfare of the poor. He claims to have 1 million followers, which he refers to as teammates. And so I will say this, and look, I'm just teasing Bitcoin. I'm not actually being a troll about it. I'm just having a little fun with it. It's just not getting used for anything today, and if that changes, my outlook for the longevity of Bitcoin will also change. But it's so clear to me with the price action, just my opinion, but with the price action that's occurring for the entire crypto asset class, how everything more or less moves in tandem, it just shows that people think there's something to this, but they don't know what. And so that's why it's all tied together. But again, it won't stay like that. So for me, I'm not trying to time the market. I'm not a trader. So for me, it's just utility, utility, utility. That's it. And look where the adoption is. Even if there's a promise of utility, I want to see actual adoption at this point. Just for me. Nothing against anybody who has a different take on it than that. And then here you go. GBTC Bitcoin Premium is at 24%, shows gradual increase in institutional demand. And so I just want to briefly highlight this story also here. The Bitcoin Investment Trust, GBTC, an investment vehicle operated by Grayscale that lets accredited and institutional investors trade Bitcoin, is still showing a high premium at 24%. Now check this out, because this is actually interesting, even though we're talking about Bitcoin. Each share of GBTC represents about 1,000th of one Bitcoin. Since GBTC is currently priced at $8.79, that values Bitcoin at $8,966. On major spot and margin trading platforms, the Bitcoin price is hovering around 7,500. And I think before I recorded this, I think I saw it around 7,100 or something like that. And so why Bitcoin Investment Trust Premium shows institutional demand? Well, due to various restrictions, most accredited and institutional investors are unable to invest in Bitcoin and other major cryptocurrencies, think XRP also, through crypto exchanges. They require strictly regulated platforms that are overseen by financial regulators. So if they want to get in, they seem to be paying a premium as a result of that. So I found that completely fascinating. But think about what I was also saying towards the beginning of the video. As regulatory clarity continues to fall into place, and as custody solutions are easy to come by, this is going to change. You know, there will be more money flowing in from institutional investors, and plus the other thing is, as time passes, it'll increasingly become crystal clear that cryptocurrencies, specifically XRP, are here to stay. There's a reason that they've lived so long. You know, typical Ponzi-type bubbles, they inflate, and then they pop, and that's the end of it. That's not what you've seen with Bitcoin in the crypto asset class. You see inflate, pop, inflate, pop, inflate, pop. And it's done that time and time and time again with drawdowns of 80 and 90% multiple times. There's a reason it keeps inflating. It's because there's true value to blockchain and digital assets. There genuinely is, and the market's still working out which ones should be should have staying power, and to what degree. Because look, we're in price discovery phase right now. Like, we're still figuring that all out. That's just a cold hard fact. So we'll just see, but it's all going to balance out in the end. Here's a tweet from Dan J that I wanted to highlight, and he writes, "Now my colleagues are able to tip me directly at my workplace, trying some small-scale, real-life adoption here." And then he tagged me along with some other XRP community members, and he's got a picture of his workstation here. So I just wanted to give a shout-out. I thought that was cool and kind of funny. Tips welcome. And he's got the little QR code right there on the back of the monitor. So very cool stuff there. All right, next, got this story from John Busico, who tagged me in it. So shout out to you. I'm sorry, did I say John? Josh Busico. I'm so sorry about that. I think I said it wrong. Josh Busico, shout out to you. It tagged me along with a bunch of other XRP community members, wrote, "This rocket is moonbound with absolutely no operational imperfections. This carefully constructed rig is standing tall and in the pre-flight phase. Get your tickets and grab a seat. It's almost departure time." I like that. Very bullish wording, and don't worry, I certainly share your sentiment. And so the piece title, XRP Liquidity Index surges past 9 million, leaving previous all-time high behind. And you're going to keep seeing these stories, and I am happy to continue reporting on these. And just wait, it's going to get even more crazy as more corridors come online, and on-demand liquidity utilizing XRP is utilized there as well. The Ripple-invested Mexican Bitso exchange is a partner of Ripple and MoneyGram in the Mexican on-demand liquidity corridor launched this year. Bitso is the largest Mexican exchange, and its participation in the Ripple and MoneyGram project has been successful. The liquidity index for the XRP/MXN pair, of course that's Mexican peso, is growing fast. leaving behind one all-time high after another, which is exactly what I was saying, and it's not going to stop. Just keep watching. Today, on December 14th, this index has taken a new level and got over the 9 million mark, with the daily progress being 92%. The highest liquidity mark achieved previously was slightly under 8,568,000, right there. And then they state another active on-demand liquidity corridor leads to the Philippines through the local coins.ph exchange, and its liquidity index has also risen for the first time recently, which I did cite a couple days ago. I'm just not pulling it up for this video because there's not new news on that front. But very cool stuff, and so that's why I'm saying just give this all time. But that's it for this video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything, because if anything I say or write, that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!